What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe, and to my screen, right, whatever direction, the wonderful, beautiful, and gracious Sheree Williams, and we're here because we love food, but more importantly, we love the people behind food, wine, and travel. And I'll let Sheree introduce herself first because this is one of her babies.
Thank you. Good evening. So I'm Sheree Williams, Executive Director, new title of the Global Food and Drink Initiative, our new nonprofit we founded, I founded in August of 2020, and then publisher editor of Cuisine Noir, which connects the African diaspora through food, drink, and travel. So
Wonderful.
Glad to be here.
And people are going, well, Dr. Vibe's interviewing Sheree. No, I'm not interviewing Sheree. Sheree, I've been blessed to know digitally for years now,
Right.
about 9 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess about a year and a half ago, Sheree said to me, Dr. Vibe, I want to start these conversations behind the business. And I said, let's make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been almost monthly over the last few months doing these conversations and showcasing wonderful individuals that are featured in Cuisine Noir Magazine and getting them to share the story digitally, not just read-wise, but you see them on screen and sharing their goals, dreams, and desires, and sometimes the challenges too. So we're very excited to have, tonight, Sheree just keeps on finding greater and greater and wonderful people. But let's get a quick catch up on what's going on with the Global Food and Drink Initiative. There's a little catch up.
So we are this month going to round out our 3-part series on publishing. So we're going to do on May 22nd at 11 o'clock p.m. 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time, marketing and selling your book. So we're excited about that, partnering with Glenn Murray 220 Media or Communications. And then also it is Haitian Heritage Month. So We've got some great events that we're going to be lining up, including a special Haitian night on May 26th. That will bring in chefs and winemakers and fashionistas and everyone just to talk about all things Haitian. So definitely more to come on that. And then we're going to continue our series with writing specifically around cookbook writing, cookbook photography, styling, going into some ghost writing. So just a lot going on. So we're excited.
Absolutely. And people will say, well, again, Dr. Vibe, what are you doing here? Well, I'm this wonderful lady has asked me to be board chair, so I'm honored to be part of this initiative. And I feel like I've been indirectly involved since like 10 years ago, but now it's a little bit more official, and very humbled to be part of this. So let's get to tonight. And we have another, I keep on, like I said, I read this story in Cuisine Noir Magazine. We'll put it up 1 or 2 times during the conversation. I'm going to leave it to Sheree to introduce this incredible person. He wants to be called a person first before a chef.
Awesome. So Chef Orlando Satchell would reach out to me he would get my emails for our newsletter, weekly newsletter, and he would always, in his own way, and you'll see tonight, invite me to St. Lucia, right, into his restaurant, Orlando's. And so, I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the support. And then over time, it turned into, let's find out a little bit more about who he is. And just from there, just the story unfolded in terms of being born in Birmingham, England, and just his journey of coming to, just traveling. He's worked in Miami, other parts of Asia, etc. And then his journey of landing in St. Lucia. And that's been quite the journey as well. And so excited to share his story there in Cuisine Noir. And so, as part of our Behind the Business series, we can't fit everything into our interviews when we're writing our stories. They would be way too long. And so, this series here that we're doing tonight allows us to really go a little deeper, ask some questions, and talk a little bit more about what we couldn't put into the article and learn a little bit more about behind the business and behind the person.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's bring the man of the hour up. There he is.
Greetings.
Man in the hour. I don't know about that. I'm a man in a mission.
There you go. Chef on a mission.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunities, and nice to meet you, folks. And welcome to St. Lucia.
Thank you. We're excited to be there virtually with you, Chef. Thank you.
Thank you,
Chef. I'll just start off. Share some of this background that I read about growing up in Birmingham.
Yeah, well, I think before I start that, this weekend is Mother's weekend, Mother's Day weekend.
Yes,
so
yes.
Before I start anything, give love, respect to my mom. My mom lives in Miami, and due to COVID, we haven't seen her for a while. So it's a couple of years now. So where I am in my journey is down to my mom. So let's give a big shout out to all the mothers, but of course, especially to my mom.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Mom. So Orlando, actually, let us start there. When I read the story, I know you said she meant a lot to you cooking wise, but what other attributes, characteristics that she instilled in you that you carry on today?
Well, I think it's about evaluation of people, appreciating people, as challenging as things are, as tough as things are, never give up. Keep faith, keep the love to understand that people, we do stuff, but we are try not to lose it too much. My mom is Jamaican, so if any of you know Jamaican mothers, they're out there in a different world.
Okay, vibe is Jamaican.
There you go. So when the Jamaican mother says something, it means something.
Yes, and if you don't do it, you're gonna get it.
If you're gonna get it, So it continues down the line. So I am always mindful. I must say that when I started showing interest in cooking in Birmingham, she's very supportive of it. So much supportive. She stopped cooking. She said, "Okay, fine. You like to cook? I'm not cooking no more." So that's the interest that she showed, and so that said. She gave me support by allowing me to do what I want to do in my kitchen, and I created stuff. I'm always creating chicken, presentation. Of course, my siblings were not so very supportive of it. They always say, "Get rid of that stuff. What's that stuff on top?" I'm not saying that is where the love comes, But she was very supportive. I mean, there was 5 of us in our home. There's 7 of us overall. But the 5 of us, when things were tough, when we slept in a bed lengthways as opposed to 5 in a bed, those are the challenges we faced,
Wow.
But at the end of the day, there's always love in the home. There was always love growing up. And one thing she always did very cleverly, the cupboard was empty, but trust me, when as a Jamaican, the food tastes good. Even corned beef and rice tastes good. You know what I'm saying? So I must say there is a message to all people that don't look at what you have. Look what you can do with what you've got. You know what I'm saying? And that's the message.
Now, Chef, what made you pick up your first spatula and put it in the skillet? I mean, what was that moment?
Well, actually, the moment was really when we were growing up and we used to go out to the supermarkets. And back in 1970, okay, for you youngsters, back in back in the day when I was young lads. Anyway, back in the 70s, early 70s, we used to go to the market in Birmingham, and what was quite funny was when we went to back in the 70s, you go to a market, most of the market was run by Asian guys, and of course, and we went to the market and we saw things that mom recognized from back home in Jamaica, like yams and sweet potato and things like thyme. Yes. And all these lovely ingredients. And being a Western mom, no matter what the price is, she's negotiating. That's the price, and that's what she's going to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? So you have to you got into a place of always negotiating. I even now I'm still negotiating with my suppliers, even though I know it's kind of like, okay, fine, no. But I'm always negotiating because I feel that's the trait from mom. It was never that. That was not the price. That was the starting price. So I think that's where I got it from. I think ultimately once I started seeing her cooking, and I remember we had one day was corned beef and rice, and she just took onion, she took thyme, she did all the seasoning, and the corned beef and rice tastes like a gourmet meal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So that was really it as well. I also looked at watching a lot of TV when I was growing up, and one of my fun memories was watching the TV and not seeing representation of me on TV. There was no, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember Galloping Gourmet,
Graham Kerr.
Graham Kerr. And Graham Kerr was our TV chef back in those days, you know?
Yep.
And it was quite interesting to see that there was nobody doing what we did, what we grew up. There was no one doing jerk chicken. There was no one doing curry goats. There was no one doing this stuff, you know? So I had in mind, I wanted to cook Caribbean cooking from way back when. My problem was there was no one doing it at any level. And even the schools, when you went to the schools and everything, no one was doing it at that level. It was always, you know, very easy. You're hungry, eating chicken and rice, but there's no creativity behind it. So I had a vision that I wanted to cook. I didn't like school much, but I did what I had to do. And I knew one of the big points I noticed was I can't take the cold. So I figure if I'm gonna be in England, I can be in a warm kitchen. So I kind of had that feeling, but I have to say to you that the vision was always about taking the Caribbean food, taking what my mom cooked to another level. It's kind of like we're talking about 30, 40 years now. Always this idea that why can't we put Caribbean cuisine in that nice gourmet look, you know? And I'm always playing around with it. But it was quite an uphill struggle to get people to understand it and appreciate it. But I think, you know, it's interesting where I am today to where I was 35, 40 years ago. It's come a long way, but my core idea is Caribbean cuisine is the best in the world. That's always my vision. The core idea, Caribbean cuisine is the best in the world. And so we've got to find a way to deliver it in another level. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
But, you know what I'm saying?
Could you reflect with our audience your first chef job and how did you get it?
Mom comes into it, you know, mom. Mom comes into that one. That was quite funny because I left school and I had felt that I wanted to be a chef, but you know, what I grades I got were okay, but they weren't where the best it should be. But, you know, I kind of looked around. I worked in supermarkets, helping out, packing shelves for a little while. Anyway, we heard this advert on the radio, this hotel called Lambert Court. It was a 5-star hotel at the time, looking for a young cook. Someone interested. So I ran, mom, I heard this job on the radio. You know, let's call it. So we call the radio station, get the information. So mom goes, and of course, back in them days now, we were dressing because I don't care. People don't dress no more. Man, I put in my suit. And of course, my jacket was quite big for me. I mean, I'm now going to be 58 in a couple of months' time. When I was 16, I looked like 12. But I mean, so I was putting on the suit and I'm dressing up myself, and even now I still like to wear tie and shirt, and I'm all feeling ready to go. So I said, Mom, can you give me a lift? She goes, yeah, you know, yeah, wait, let me get dressed. Mom, you're only supposed to take me to the job, you know. You have to get dressed and nothing. She got my mom, Jamaican mother, she put on her best dress. She was out to. You think she was going to get married? I'm gonna go for an interview. Yeah. Mom is dressed to the T. She goes, so we go in the car. And she's talking to me all the way now. She goes, listen, don't worry. This job is yours. Don't you worry. Don't worry. They don't know who they've got. I'm giving him my best son. I said, Mom, let me get the interview. Let's go there first. So we get there. And so we get inside. The chef, who was the owner at the time, the owner of the hotel, he goes, have a seat there, we'll get to you. So anyway, they call me and goes, Mr. Satchell, could you come on in? And my mom goes, I'm coming too. So mom jumps up. Mom jumps up with me for the interview. I'm like, but mom, you just wait there a little bit. No, I'm coming.
Oh,
And
my goodness.
so she comes in the interview next to me. So now the guy is talking to me and saying, oh, well, Derek, we know you like to cook, and tell us a little bit. No, don't worry. He's the best cook you can have. He loves to do.
Oh, no.
Actually, my mom is having an interview. Mom was having an interview. Now, as you can appreciate, you know, British white people, they're like, okay, this is a bit too close here. But I'm saying it's okay. I actually like to do jerk chicken. But no, Mr. Ian, the name is Ian Hunter. Mr. Hunter, this guy is the best chef. He cook all our food at home. You don't have to worry about him, and he does the wash. He does the washing up. I mean, that was my first. I mean, in all due respect, I got the job. Yeah,
Okay.
I got the job. But the funny thing was, I mean, I tell this story now because how many parents are going to go to an interview with their kids and actually going to sit next to me in the interview? I was quite not a mommy's boy, but I respect my mom a lot and I value her inputs. But it was a bit too close. But I'm like, let her have a moment. You know, that was her moment. And now I want to honor her as she got older because clearly, while I was in this job, I was the only I want to say the Black Caribbean guy in this hotel. They had this hotel was a 5-star hotel back in 1979. They had never seen another black guy in the hotel, and it was quite a eye opener because as much as I love to cook, I had not been in a professional kitchen, so you can imagine the experience of a kitchen. And you know, when someone says you go and get the spaghetti, you're not thinking the spaghetti is a pasta. You're thinking the spaghetti. You're not thinking pasta. You're thinking, oh, okay, pasta, spaghetti. And then they said you go to the bottom of the garden and it's hanging in a tree. These are kind of crap. So when you're 16 years old and 12 years old, unless you while I was into food, I wasn't into Italian food, so I don't know. And then they used to give you stuff like, oh, go to the top of the shelf and get a box of fresh air. What the hell? Who does that? So these are all
They were really
kitchen.
playing with you.
Oh yeah, but you know, I guarantee you, many chefs will tell you the same story. You know, I don't know if it wasn't in that depth of being bad against me because of being a black person. It's just me being a young cook unknown to what's going on. I would like to think that I like to think that that was the process. Like he goes, you take food downstairs to the pantry, and he goes, if you fall, keep walking. That's the back door to get change, get the hell out of the kitchen. You're fired. That kind of attitude. You know what I'm saying? So those are life lessons. I have to tell you one of my first disciplinary warning. My first disciplinary warning was again professional kitchens. I don't know if any of you guys make omelets. You ever made an omelet?
Yeah.
When you make an omelet in a professional kitchen, you do not wash the omelet pan. There's a no.
Okay.
The omelet pans are just basically you put salt in them and you salt them out and wipe them out and that's it.
Okay.
So of course, one service, I'm busy service. I'm hoping I did a great job now. I did service, I cleaned all the pans. Who tell me to put the omelet pan in the water after 25 years?
Ooh.
You know up in there. That's my first warning. So,
whoa, that's like the cast iron going in.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Not nice. Not nice.
But you know what? It was a lesson of learning. You know, it's a process. You know, I mean, I think if you are going to do anything correct, you have to learn it from the beginning. I do not want to be critical of today's chefs, but unless you walk the walk in our industry 25 years ago, today's industry is different.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, the skill set is different. You can Google stuff. Back in those days, there's no Google. You have to learn this stuff.
Right.
You know?
And I bet too, the temperament you shared in the article of someone who got a little aggressive with you in the kitchen, that would not happen anymore today. It should not.
Well, it should not happen. But you know, I gotta tell you that our industry is somewhat changing a lot. But I would also tell you that the aggressiveness in the kitchens were real. Whether it be in my time when this guy felt that he had a right to put his hand on my face. I mean, what the hell? Who the hell do you think he was? I mean, I don't know what it was. I mean, I guess for me, as I'm talking to you, I know when I was, as I am now, I'm a bit cheeky. So I guess when I was then younger, I must have been impaired. What the hell is look a kid come to my kitchen and he wants to be cheeky? But that doesn't, you know, I mean, that still don't give you no right to put your hand on me.
Right.
So the funny thing, actually, I can't remember what had caused the incident, but I knew that it was, I don't know if it was racist motive, but it was, in my opinion, you don't do that to anybody.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah, absolutely anybody. And so here I was, a young black guy in my first kitchen. I was 16 years old. and for whatever reason, you felt that you had to slap in my face. Now you can imagine. I mean, you're sitting down, so I imagine how tall you are. I'm 16 years old. My hand don't see no roughness. I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
roughness look like. As you say in Jamaica. We don't know
Mhm.
about no roughness. We know about
Mm-hmm.
smooth belly bottom. But you know, my energy said, no, this is not right. So I
Right.
slapped this man. I slapped this man back. Now this guy, in all fairness, he could took me apart. But I think he was more surprised that
Yeah.
this guy raised my hand and slapped him back. And I'm
Yeah.
talking to you now, and my hand feels I can feel a man bristle on my hand. And we
Mm-hmm.
took about
Mm-hmm.
40 years, 35, 40 years ago. And it was, and I think for him, it's more the surprise I slapped him back.
Yeah.
For me,
Mm-hmm.
it was more about this was not right. Who the hell does he think he is?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to do a job. I understand that I'm a difficult guy sometimes. I don't listen. I when I have my own vision of what you should do with the food, but that doesn't give you the right to put your hand on me.
Right.
Period. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say to any young cook, there is two kinds of abuse in the kitchens. There's verbal abuse and there's physical abuse. The physical has changed a lot, but the verbal still hurts.
Mm.
And I think we need to encourage our professional chefs to communicate. And I say that in no disrespect to my chef, because I know I can be like being a chef who cooked for a long time. I want the food now. Give me now.
Right.
Let's go. Service. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And you grab the plate, and even when you pick up the plate, and if you don't gently pick the plate up, man, you're gonna get it from me. What the hell? I've spent an hour preparing a plate, and you grab it like you're grabbing a dishcloth. Are you kidding
Right.
me? So there has to be an element of temper, but understand that when we as cooks and chefs present stuff on the plate, that is our vision, that is our passion, that is our experience that we want to serve to a customer. If you come in as a waitress and grab it without even understanding the value of gone into it,
Right.
trust me, you're gonna get the voice of reasoning, maybe not reasoning.
Right.
Okay.
I hear you. Now,
Yeah.
Chef, tell us about the first job that took you out of England.
Well, I gotta tell you that ultimately I had. Now, so let me go back a little bit first. So after doing the job in Birmingham for a while, I moved to another place, and it's interesting. The second job I had was quite interesting because I was working for a company not known to me, but they were Freemasons.
Oh.
I don't know if you know about Freemasons. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
aware of Freemasons. I mean, like, what the hell is people doing? And part of the job of the Freemasons, where they had their rituals, was I wasn't aware of. But the first time I drank alcohol was on St. Burns night. Now, in
Mm.
St. Burns night in this Freemasons, you had to carry. I don't know if you know Aggis. You know what Aggis is? The
Mm.
Scottish kind of cottage.
Yes.
It's almost like black pudding. It's
Okay.
um,
Yep.
it's
I
a
guess.
Scottish
Yeah.
version of it. So it's a kind of a meatball with all the crap. The wrong words. A lot of mixture of ingredients. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so on St. Burns night, the youngest chef had to walk in with all the people in their rituals, with their hanging chains and everything else, and you walk around, and then they give you a knife, and you gotta stab the haggis, and then drink a shot of whiskey.
Mm.
Now you can imagine me at 17, 18 now, drinking whiskey for the first time. I must throw up because I'm thinking, what the hell is this stuff? It's just, I mean, give me some rum now, I'll be okay. But I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about when I was 18, I'm drinking whiskey for the first time, not knowing the experience, but you have to sort of knock it back. And of course, everyone looking at you, and there was a ritual.
Yep.
I was not aware of Freemasons. Only in the last, I want to say, 30 years now, I understand the local circle of communication. But that was my second job working for these guys. That's
Wow.
that was a bit crazy there. And
Wow.
a lot of things I saw that I can't say repeat because I wasn't aware of it, but it was just there in my face. And I'm reading stuff about Freemasons. But wow, that's interesting. But
Mm.
I left Birmingham. Two reasons. One, the airport to leave the country is out of London. I can't leave the country out of Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, I knew that the Caribbean was in my vision. Sunshine was in my vision,
Mm.
but I didn't know I was going to get there. So I moved to London. I got a job in London working in one at the time was the number one um, toy shop called Hamleys. You can Google it. It was back in the 80s and 90s. Was the number one toy shop in the world. and it's on Regent Street. So I was the director's dining room chef along with this restaurant. And surprisingly, my first girlfriend was from St. Lucia. Unbeknownst to me, I have no idea about St. Lucia. It didn't even clock my mind.
Right.
But she was very charming. You know, we had a conversation for a while, and then you know, and it didn't dawn on me about St. Lucia. And then my sous chef was from St. Lucia.
Oh.
So again, this is not in my psychic conversation. We worked together for a few years. My mom decided to move to the States, so I didn't go and say, well, I'm gonna check her out. What I decided to do was go look around the States. I mean, I had a vision. I wanted to be in America. I saw Beverly Hills Cop 2. Beverly Hills Cop. I thought I'm gonna find Eddie Murphy.
That darn Eddie Murphy.
And then I saw Dallas, so I went looking for JR.
Oh,
Damn.
you trying to see who shot him, huh?
I know. So I bought this ticket back in those days. You bought this round ticket, so you can spend about £1,500, and you can only go one way, East Coast to West Coast around America. So that was my journey. So I slept in the planes, and I got off in different cities around the United States. So I ended up in LA. I went to who lives in Utah? My goodness, I ended up in Utah. What the hell happened in Utah? Anyway, I went to Utah. Sorry, Utah. I don't know. I never, nothing happened in Utah. So I ended up in Utah, and then I ended up going to New Orleans. Fabulous. Okay. Oh man, the food is amazing in New Orleans. Yeah, amazing. I went to the French Quarters, you know, and here's a funny thing. As we're talking, I didn't feel insecure. I walked these places by myself. I was alone. I was traveling chef on my own, discovering food and ideas. Didn't feel insecure. I didn't feel unsecure of it. I was walking by myself. I greeted, how you doing? And always my tie and shirt, though, of course. You know,
right. Because it's your first time in America, right? So exploring all these cities.
Yeah, exploring all these cities, and it took me a month traveling around just to discover America. And I must say, I felt a passion for LA. I love Rodeo Drive. I went into Rodeo Drive and bought one item. I bought a tie because I wanted to buy something from Rodeo Drive. It cost me $50 US back them days, but I was like, okay, I got a tie. I got a bag saying Rodeo Drive and Cecil G. Okay, so but I discovered in California, what I love about California was the food was very light. There was no heavy food. People were doing stuff, you know. I got a job, not a job, but I saw push on Wednesday. Said, listen, I'm from London. I'm looking around, enjoying your food. Can I get a job? Can I just even spend a day in your kitchen? And so I went into this kitchen doing soul food. Now, of course, coming from Europe, there is classical French and there's classical way of doing stuff. When you go to a soul food kitchen, it's a different kind of kitchen.
You got music, you got
collard greens, you got pork and stew, you know, and you know they're making this salted flour and water. I'm like, hold on, folks, but can we make a roux? No, man, this is how we do it. This is how we do it down here. We're gonna add the flour, we're gonna add some turmeric. I'm like, but that's not the way. I can show you. No, buddy, welcome to the United States. This is how we do it. I'm like,
exactly.
Okay. And in all due respect, the food is good, but you know, I can see the challenges there. Like you're doing a sauce with flour and water. Okay, great. But you make sure the flour, there's no lumps. I mean, I'm not a lump man. I mean, I don't do lumps. Okay. So I kind of like had that idea. But I must say the pork was, oh my goodness, the pork just melt in your mouth. We're talking 30 years ago now. This pork just melt in your mouth. It's like they had smoked it, they barbecued it, they did everything in it. And then the sauce with this flour and water stuff. But I must say, the little tomato ketchup helped it out. A little pepper sauce helped it out. Kind of worked it out quite nice, you know. But that was my journey of the United States. But then I ended up in Miami, where Mom was. And then I went down to South Beach with my knife bag, and I walked into this restaurant called the Palm Cafe. So I'm talking to this guy. I said, listen, I'm from London. You know, and this is your job. If you can find this guy, the chef was named Donald Usher. Never seen him again. And I walked in, he goes, oh, you were God sent. And he gave me a job on the spot.
Oh, wow.
You know. And of course, I mean, and the owner is an Israeli guy, was an Israeli. So we had baba ganoush, we had falafels and jerk chicken and escabeche fish all combined together.
Oh, why wasn't I there?
Listen to me. I was looking for you, buddy. I was looking for you. I was like, where is my guy? I'm like, you know what? He was in Canada. Canada himself, man. What are you gonna do in Canada? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, okay. But we did this restaurant, and our restaurant, we had people like remember the guy from Miami Vice?
Don
Don
Johnson
Don
or
Johnson and
Philip
Michael. Yeah,
Philip Michael Thomas.
Philip Michael Thomas.
Philip Michael Thomas used to sell us fish. He used to bring fish to the restaurant, and we cooked the fish from Philip Michael back in those days.
Wow.
In Miami Vice. Miami Vice was actually on 10th and Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, they filmed the Miami Vice. I mean, so we had a lot of celebrities came through the restaurant, and I wasn't aware who they were, but you know, I was having a conversation. I mean, I gotta tell you a secret. My first girlfriend was actually from the UK, so I met her in Miami. Okay. I gotta tell you guys, when I first went there, and I was trying to talk to American ladies, because now I'm at the age now. I can tell my feelings now.
So you left Miss St. Lucia in England, and
no, that wasn't a conversation. That's just too much information. Point being, so I'm talking to American ladies. It's just you know, you kind of reach there. How you doing? I'm gonna tell you, you guys were hard work. Not that I'm trying to get anything, but it wasn't. I mean, I appreciate the conversation, but it was like saying, oh, you know, first thing goes. So what do you drive?
oh.
I'm walking. Oh, what do you live? What do you do? I'm like, it was like I had to mention a litany of like, well, I'm single. I'm walking and I'm working.
We want to know. Oh, too bad you didn't try to date in LA. It would have been definitely a different story.
Oh no. Well, so the conversation was, I mean, as I'm talking to you now, my charm has kind of got me into some trouble, so I have to leave it alone now and focus on the food.
Okay.
But
we'll leave that alone.
A funny story though. I tell you a funny story though. So I never know nothing about drugs. I'm tired as hell. And by the way, so what I was working in my restaurant, and I finished work, and those are the days before you start cleaning up the kitchen, you have to watch Arsenio Hall. Arsenio Hall was the man, the woo woo, and that was, you know, I don't know. Have you seen Arsenio Hall?
We've seen Arsenio Hall show
back in the 80s. I mean, so I got to watch Arsenio Hall, clean my kitchen, and then I got home. So anyway, from my car, I eventually get a car. I had a car called a Chrysler Cordova. This is like a boat on wheels, 2 doors, but the vehicle was like one of those 60s. I mean, big vehicle. I mean, this was crazy because this car. I mean, I'll just show a picture of me. I'll send a picture of me next to my vehicle when I
oh my goodness.
Let's meet. So anyway, so I'm now going my Chrysler Cordova. So I'm going to the car park. So this guy walks up to me. Hey man, how you doing? I'm like, yeah, how you doing? How you doing, man? He goes, hey man, do you have any rock? I'm like, sorry, sir.
No.
Of course, in my English accent now. In my English accent. Sorry, sir. Rock. What do you mean? He goes, no, man. Hey man, any kind of rock you got there? So I go, excuse me, sir. There's a big rock over there. Which one? Which rock do you want?
Did he appreciate that joke?
He goes, man, you wet. I'm like, okay, I understand, buddy. I'm like, you know, I mean, you have to rock. And I'm like, I'm pointing some rocks on the floor here. Obviously, I wasn't aware what rock was. I'm sorry.
Right.
I wasn't aware that we were talking about drugs here. I'm talking about the rock. I mean, I'm like, okay, there's a couple of rocks. Which one do you want? You know what I'm saying? So it was quite an interesting experience to discover the valuation of rock. So that was my Miami story, but I must say that we had some great fun because the restaurant was doing really great business. We were down on South Beach, and
Wow.
in the 80s in Miami in the 80s, my job was like I went to work in the afternoons. My daytime was on the beach, and I was discovering food. And I mean, you know, I got pictures of me, and I'll send you all the pictures to you. You see, back in the days, my day was just chilling on the beach. I mean, I didn't understand that life would change, you know?
Right.
Okay. But I must say that I did that for a few years, and then I came back to London. And then my biggest challenge in London was that I was passionate about food, and especially about Caribbean food. And every hotel I worked at, nobody does it. Okay, and a quick note for you, Doc. Salt and pepper is not seasoning.
I wanted to talk about that because you mentioned that in the interview on Cuisine Noir. Tell people
Salt and
that.
pepper is not seasoning. Please leave it alone. All you chefs out there, we're gonna have seasoning now. Let me alone, please. Seasoning is when you add love, when you add seasoning, when you add experience, when you add flavor. You know, we didn't grow up with salt and pepper. You bought salt and pepper, but that wasn't the seasoning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to let people understand that while we have moved forward in caveman times when you add nothing else but salt and pepper, times have changed. We
Mm-hmm.
now season our food. We now,
Yes.
as people of Caribbean descendants, we were given the worst cut of meat. We were given, nobody wanted that. Even the dog looking and goes, hell no. You know what I mean? But guess what? With our creativity, we took that
Yes.
meat, we pounded it, we seasoned it, we loved it up, we stewed it, and boy, now today in 2021, people paying big money for that little stewed chicken that or stewed curry goat nobody
Yes.
wanted. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so what it was is that's our history. Our cuisine is we are the original fusion. We're where fusion started. We're where the love of appreciation from zero to where we are right now. We took and made things happen for us. We shared it with the experience of life. I'm so on this mission about we the people need to share with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But please, please leave me alone with the salt and pepper. It's important.
I don't think I'll put salt or pepper on anything else going forward now because you'll be in the back of my head.
You gotta be like you have to understand that there's an element of ingredients which is critical, but at the end of the day, it cannot be the main factor to get the food. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we as West Indians, Americans, we as people didn't grow up on salt pepper. We grew up in seasoning. We grew up
Right.
in love, and that love. Here's my point to you: the definition of food on a plate is like, wow, that plate looks amazing. But here's a good thing for you: you can always have love. You can always share a moment, but without love, it's just a moment.
Wow. Wow.
Think about it. So when you add the love, you add the seasoning, it becomes more than just a moment. It becomes a time. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It becomes a time.
Absolutely. Well, Chef, let's start
Yeah,
to get into your arrival into St. Lucia, because I know there's a lot to unpack there
yeah.
too.
Oh boy, unpack it. I unpacked it when I came on the plane, but that's another story. You know I gotta tell you, the journey from to St. Lucia is interesting. I know we're on a time schedule, but I can talk for a few hours. Um, I ended up in Singapore first, and Singapore, I gotta tell people that I had my catering business. I knew that I worked in the hotels, and hotels were not gonna dance to my music. So what I had to do,
And you weren't going to dance to theirs.
hell no, especially especially
Sheree, you're on point
Clear.
tonight. You're on point tonight.
You weren't dancing to theirs.
no, hell no, because the challenge was either thing now. So another thing is a little thing I know in the US, in the UK, we have event coordinators, promoters.
Right.
So what I realized in England, every year they would have these big events in top hotels in London. So for instance, they may say we're gonna have a black tie event, and we're gonna do a fashion show and food.
Right.
And you go to this event, and the food was never representative of the people. 95% of the people who were there were black people, black Caribbean people. We went to these hotels in London and paid ridiculous money to get chicken in white wine sauce, to get mushroom soup. And what's it all about? So I had this crazy idea. So I said to a promoter, I got an idea for you. You can't keep your audience happy. The audience we will usually go to a fashion show and a good dance, and we don't really talk about the food too much. I'm sad to say when you go out, because all of a sudden we're at the fashion show. I'm here for the party. I'm looking smart, and sometimes we accept the food at the hotel because that's the hotel food. I goes, hell no, we can change that. So I convinced a promoter to allow me to be the guest chef in the hotel. He goes, well, we can't afford to pay you. I said, here's what you're going to do. you're going to pay me £1 a plate. And normally the number is about 300-400 people. You're going to pay me £1 a plate. And ultimately as well, you're going to put my name on your flyer. So when you advertise your business, Chef Orlando is cooking tonight, and you're going to pay me £1 per plate. The average number is 400-500 people. £1 a plate, you didn't miss £1 of your tickets. You know what I mean? If everybody give you £1, you miss it. So I'm like, okay, I'm okay. And what I would do, I would go to the hotel and advise the hotels not to present the food, but how to season without salt and pepper. So it was a nice idea, which, and of course it was also kind of cool because they used to have people come in and advise them, but it was grandma's cooking. And you know grandma send grandma to a 5-star hotel with chefs to try to direct chefs. Hell no, that ain't gonna happen because the chefs are going to be like, no, mommy, we can't do that. You know already. So and here I was now, a professional person, telling them, listen, take the chicken out the bag and we wash the chicken. We wash it with lime and vinegar. We season it, we marinate it, we let it sit. Pumpkin soup is not Halloween pumpkin. We're talking about real pumpkin. You know, I mean, if we're gonna do callaloo soup, soup isn't spinach, it's callaloo. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of educated them. So that's how my name became more and more known in London because, I mean, before I came to St. Lucia, surprisingly, I was quite well known, but not in that big circle, but people knew about me. So the opportunity for Singapore came along. This guy from Singapore came for like a 3-day weekend. He goes, this guy loves St. Vincent. He loves the Caribbean. So he goes, he's ambitious. He wants to do a Caribbean restaurant in Singapore. So he comes to London for a 3-day break. He gets off at the airport. He ends up in a black neighborhood. And just so happens, he walks into this place and a friend of mine who was there, just happened to be a friend of mine, said, he goes, you know, my name is Ken. You know, I'm very outspoken. I'm from Singapore. I'm looking for a Caribbean chef. By the grace of God, a friend of mine says, oh, I can recommend to you a friend of mine, Chef Orlando.
Wow.
How ironic is that, you know? So that same weekend, I was doing an event. So I invited him to the event. And then this party said, okay, what's it going to take you to Singapore? Really? On the spot.
Wow.
So he came back and organized and took me to Singapore in 1996. I was the first Caribbean chef in Singapore. To try to thank you, bring Caribbean cooking to Singapore. But it's a joke, so man, that's so much fun. I arrived in Singapore, the best airport in the world. I gotta tell you. I don't know if you've been in Singapore. Amazing. All the taxis are all BMWs, Mercedes, nothing less. Anyway, this is 96. Anyway, so I'm there. I go to this restaurant, amazing food. I mean, Singapore food is Asia, great. But I'm cooking Caribbean, and they go, Orlando, where are you from? I said, well, I'm from the UK, but my parents from the Caribbean. Where is the Caribbean? I said, well, go to Miami, take a left. That's I couldn't put it on the map, no way.
Yeah.
So that was the point there. The next part now, how do you get them to appreciate Caribbean food? So I'm telling them about jerk chicken. I'm telling them about curry goats. They have no idea. So then I said, okay, you know what? Everyone knows Bob Marley. So what I did, I took the Bob Marley songs and put it into the menu. So now we had jam down chicken. We had jam down. We had jam down chicken. We have one love muffin. You know,
Nice.
all the menu names were all related to Bob Marley. So they related the song to the food. You know what I mean? And most of my food is Jamaican. So I ended up doing that for a while. Then I did Kuala Lumpur for a while as well. Went to Kuala Lumpur like a few months. And then so I came back to St. Lucia. Really wanting to be back in Singapore, really, but I came back anyway after 2 years, and then came back. My accountant was a St. Lucian, so he called me one day. He said, "Listen to me. We need to. I got an outstanding bill." I said, "I'll tell you what. I'll cater for you. And we can cut the bill, cover that." So in doing that, I come in and I had all my photographs of my work I've done. I used to have with the album promoting Orlando's and everything else. And then, I didn't tell you I became Orlando because before, as you know in the story, my name is Derek Orlando Satchell.
Yeah.
Look a triple for people who didn't know my name is Derek. But actually, in Miami, I was in this restaurant when my chef left. And I said, you know, you got to call me. Chef Derek didn't have that ring. Chef Derek, didn't feel that. So my middle name is Orlando. So I'm giving you some trivia now. So I'm thinking, can be Chef Derek. Who knows Chef Derek? I'll become Chef Orlando. So that's how the name became Chef Orlando.
Nice.
So, fast forward now. So I'm showing this my work. So I met this lady from St. Lucia, Berthia Powell. She's the owner of a manager of a hotel called Bay Gardens here in St. Lucia. So we got talking. I said to her, I love an idea. I'm always asking the question, why isn't there more Caribbean cuisine in the Caribbean? I'm thinking I've come to the Caribbean a few times. I've been to Jamaica. I've been to a few of islands, but I never always see all these hotels in the Caribbean was always doing everything else but Caribbean cuisine, what I call cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's do a deal. Why don't you give me free accommodation, and I would teach your staff my vision of where Caribbean should be. That was I just left like that.
Well,
A few months. A few weeks later, she comes and says, "Okay, when can you come?" So I paid for my flight myself, along with my wife at the time, and we went to St. Lucia. So I was there for 2 weeks, free accommodation, and in accommodation, I teach the staff to cook. That hotel now has 4 hotels.
wow.
I would not say that to me, but I like to think I had a small influence.
Just a little bit.
That's a little.
Just a little bit.
Influence. And so the joke was now, I gotta tell this story. So anyway, I do that for a while, and about a day before I'm leaving, I go to the manager. The manager was the husband of the wife who I met him in London. So he goes, Orlando, I'm taking you out to show you off St. Lucia and what it is. How much time we got? We got enough time, right? We okay for time? I'm sharing.
Yeah, we're good.
Right, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. So I said to the guy, so he goes, take me out to his restaurants and everything else. So he takes me to Ladera. So now the time Ladera, I was there, we had a great experience. I met the chef and everything else. I said to the manager at the time, beautiful hotel, love your hotel. But if I were your chef, this is what I'll do for you. We'll do cooking classes, we'll do live demonstration. I'm going to change the menu into all Caribbean, and it's going to be about promoting the Caribbean. You can't have this location selling steak and chips. You can't have this location selling everything else but the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
I must say, the manager at the time, his name is Magnus, and I'll shout out to Magnus. He just got his 21st anniversary, wedding anniversary. So a big shout out to him, and I actually did his wedding as well. But it was he took on the challenge. So like I told him this conversation back in May. Actually, May this year is gonna be 22 years.
Wow.
So I said to him, I had a conversation, left it alone. He had a chef, and that was the end of the story. September, I got a call. Chef, the chef's no longer with us. Would you consider coming back and help the final chef and train? And I said, great. But you realize that was the end of my marriage, right?
Now let's stop and pause there, because I don't think people understand when you're really diving into your career as a chef, the toll that it does take on you and the relationships around you.
Yeah, I have to tell you that I'm in a great relationship right now, and that's been 8 years. But the life that we as chefs take on, I know most chefs will probably tell you their second relationship, second marriage, because I think the passion to cook, and I think the mistake that I made was I said to my wife, I got a girlfriend, don't you? You got a girlfriend? I said, yeah, it's called a kitchen.
Oh, okay. I'm like...
and it's got 4 burners. So
and you were spending more time with the girlfriend than the wife.
There we go. And I have to tell you, if I'm honest to myself, while all accomplishes may be accomplished, the missed opportunity with my kids is something which will forever be part of my weight of loss. Mm-hmm. It's not. I want to call it a total loss, but my daughter is beautiful, my son is charming, But I think a lot of us in our professions need to understand that we only have for a moment. We're so driven to deliver for our customers. Sometimes we lose focus of the personal life. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell any young chef in this industry, get your priorities and get the stability in your life. Make sure the persons around you understand what you're doing and they're with you. and so you don't lose sight of the opportunities, because my kids where they are right now is beautiful. I've missed so much moments with them, so much
Right.
opportunity with them. Yes, I see them. Yes, we connect. We have a conversation. My daughter is doing very well. My son's still at university, but it's you can never get those time back,
Right.
even for the vision of the dream to be a top chef. And actually, my dream about being a top chef wasn't about being a top chef. My vision was always that if I can get a platform which allows me to talk about the Caribbean cuisine, that is where I need to go for it. It wasn't about me being the top chef. I just
Mhm.
wanted to be the voice that raises the cuisine level.
Right.
That's where my vision was. I mean, it was never about starlight and light, but I understand it. I need to get that light or the exposure to take the cuisine to the level I think it should be. You know what I'm saying? But the sacrifices were big,
Right.
and if I can say public to my ex-wife, sorry that the things like that happen turn out. My kids still love you, always love you, but you make decisions, you move forward, don't you?
Right. Right.
And but um, I think it'd be interesting to hear chefs talk about it. A lot of chefs don't; they keep themselves hidden, like
Mhm.
it's like the worst stock pot in the world.
Mhm.
It's not. It cannot be the worst. That is your energy that you missed out on. And
Mm.
like I said to people before, I am very grateful for my ex-wife and the time she has contributed to raising my two beautiful kids.
Mhm.
Still give her much respect to women, and that's why I always tell people that my part of my life is to my mom, but also to all the women generally who have sacrificed and put forward to make a lot of us men take on stuff that we think, oh, I can do it alone. Even when we're standing there alone, we're not doing it alone because women are supporting us in the background. You know
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Wow.
so we need to acknowledge that. You know what I mean? We need to acknowledge that as a way forward. My beautiful lady who I'm with right now is a very strong black woman who tolerates me or deal with me. Who says, he's a charming chap, but she understands and she gives me my space to grow and cook. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And I guess that's time. With time, that changes. But I
Right.
do want to acknowledge the women and people who've been in my life, and big shout out to all the women just generally, that you are the backbone of who us men are. We don't stand firm without you.
Uh-huh.
We stand, but without you, we're not standing firm. So so
Very cool.
that's the message to the women who have been in my life and women who are out there supporting men on their accomplishments. You know what I mean? And
Nice.
especially the chefs, women, the chefs' wives. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm saying. But yeah, I kind of felt, while I'm sharing this with the general public, it's not about losing faith. It's about gaining opportunities and
Hmm.
gaining moments. So don't lose faith that it's all over. While you're still here, the opportunity is still available to change. And I'm hoping,
Awesome.
as I reach to my certain age of life, I'm changing every day. I'm building, and hopefully people will see that there's still opportunity there.
Awesome.
Okay.
So you were at Ladera, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then that sort of gave you your springboard for Orlando's, right?
yeah. The Ladera thing was. I mean, I say the Ladera thing was an hotel which I was involved in for many years. We were. It's interesting because while I've never shared that much about my experience with the hotel. Sorry, let me turn our phone off there. It's the telephone out
Mhm.
there. I see someone saying a taster. Someone called me for food. um, while I think the hotel has contributed a lot to where I've been, I think I've contributed to where they are today as a hotel. They were voted one of the top hotels in the world. You know what I mean? They have made a lot of intro on my name of food. And
Mhm.
in all due respect to them, they did what they had to do. I felt that the fact that when I left, I couldn't work within 1.5 miles of the hotel, which was
That's
never in my
crazy.
agreements. But that was
Wow.
crazy.
Right.
But here's the funny thing, guys. Here's the funny thing to anybody out there. When they call me, um, like Christmas Eve, that we're changing directions with your contract and everything else. Wow, You couldn't wait until you see me. But anyway, that's beside the point. You didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a sign of us as people. Two things. First, you get mad and you figure, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? And then you get realist and say, you know what? Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity. Because sometimes sometimes we're in a position that we think, oh, this is my job. This is my life. No, it's not. It's just a job.
Mm-hmm.
And when you realize it's just a job, you have to realize I have to create my own thing. And so what they did to me was a blessing in disguise. While I may have not seen it at the time, what it did do was re-energized me to get my butt up and get my own idea going. Okay. And
You would have
so
forever
what
probably
they
been
did to
working for
me
somebody
was
else,
almost
huh?
a blessing in disguise, where I said, okay, that's fine.
Wow.
Yeah. If they not did what they
Amazing.
did, I'd probably still be working for them. Okay. And
Absolutely, or
still
working
making
for
them
somebody else,
millions
huh?
while I'm trying to negotiate my thousands. While I'm still working for somebody else. So the fact that I couldn't work within 1.5 miles was perfect, because my restaurant is 1.6.
Now, is
So
that still to
1
this
mile after
day, though,
1.5.
Chef? Is that still to this day, or no?
Yes.
Wow.
To this day, 8 years ago, when I imagine I could. Well, no. That's part. It was a 2-year agreement. Got down to one
Okay.
year agreement. But
Okay.
the fact remains, they pushed me to where I am, because I couldn't work within the area where the hotel was being.
Absolutely.
So they put me in that
Absolutely.
place. But they didn't realize where they put me was next to a cemetery, which I like to call the rest. No, here's the thing. I like to call it the resting place. It is a place, once you rest, you're in place. But you also gives you it also gives you a viewpoint of life. Don't ever get
Mhm.
too
True.
comfortable. Don't ever get like this is here
Yeah.
forever. This is just a moment. Don't ever grab onto things. This is just, we're only here for a moment. So a cemetery, or resting place, I like to call it, keeps me focused. Is either I'm on this side of the road, or when I go and join the other side of the road. I'm on this side of the road, I'm staying here for a while. And however, there's a lot of people across the road with money, but they're across the road and they can't spend it. So
Wow.
always stay focused on our agenda. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. When I put that place there, it was a house, and I had to
Mm.
change. And I'll tell you the story later. But the house was a 5-bedroom house, and I knew exactly what I was going to do with it. I knew I was going to turn into a restaurant. I knew I wanted to capture the essence of home style. I knew that
Mhm.
when you walk into that place, you have to feel like you've come home. You've come
Right.
home from home. Someone is going to greet and meet you. I knew that the sun is hot. I'm going to give you a cold towel to chill you down. I knew that I'm going to give you a welcome drink. I even knew that when I grew up in the Caribbean, that you do not put your bag on the floor. The habit was you don't put money on the floor.
Right.
So
Right.
I quit.
Exactly. And that
So
is
I
so funny. That's like universal, Black universal.
you don't put money on the floor. Are you kidding me?
Mm-mm.
So I created an handbag stand. So
Oh.
what I did, I used some mahogany wood and created a handbag. So now ladies come to a restaurant now, they handbag stand, and also they put their face mask now on the handbag stand.
Mhm.
So you know what I'm saying? And so these are my 5 rules of the restaurant, and also give a welcome drink. And our welcome drink was always a very local juice with sugarcane in it. So you kind of this was already complimentary before you spend a penny. It was
Nice.
all part of the experience. We do not sell food at my restaurants. We share love. We share an experience.
Mm.
If you want to eat food, there's a lot of people selling food, and you're hungry, no problem. But when you come
Mhm.
to Orlando, you're coming for an experience, to welcome into an experience. You know, the
So,
definition between food and cuisine. Food is a necessity of life.
mhm.
Cuisine is an experience that you share a moment with.
Wow. Now
That's what I
tell me
do.
about some of the guests around the world who have come to Orlando's.
You ain't made it yet, so I ain't asking you.
And
I'm sorry.
Good shot. Good shot. Good
oh,
shot.
Sorry. I'm just so.
oh,
I'm like, okay, what? I send a ticket for you? Okay, I'm sending a ticket for you.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm just joking. No, I mean, well, here's the funny thing. The number one person come to my restaurant is my mom. My
Mm.
mom, I brought my mom to my restaurant for the first time in in 80th birthday. You know, I've met so many celebrities. I mean, I've cooked for David Bowie. I cooked for David Bowie before. I cooked for Denzel Washington at the
Nice.
hotel. When I was at the hotel, I've cooked for, even Conan O'Brien, has been to the hotel. The guy from 60 Minutes who's dead now, Ed Bradley. Yeah,
Oh,
all these
wow.
people I've cooked for in my time at the hotel. At my restaurant now, I've had Ludacris. I've had Sister Sledge a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
Cafe Sledge. Cafe Sledge. I've cooked for
wow.
Prince Charles. I've cooked for Prince Charles. But I've cooked for what's a guy called Russell Brand.
Right?
Oh,
George
Les
Stephanopoulos.
Brown?
Oh, Russell
Russell
Brand.
Russell
Russell
Brand.
Brand.
Oh, Russell
Yeah.
Brand. Okay. Okay.
I cook for George Stephanopoulos, Michael J. Fox. All these are past my restaurant. But having my mom come to my restaurant, sorry, worth more than that, yeah. Because it was my mom sitting in my restaurant now after all these 40 years of being in Birmingham, and here she's now sitting in my restaurant eating my cuisine.
Nice.
I'm thinking, isn't time changed, mom? You're the celebrity now in my restaurant. But I have to give you the biggest celebrity conversation. So a few years ago, George Clooney, all these celebrities came. Matt Damon came down to Sugar Beach, our hotel. So I got a call from CNN saying, Orlando, your restaurant is well known. Has any celebrities come to you yet? I said, I got to tell him, no, I haven't seen nobody yet. We were there. So anyway, nobody turns up. They all leave. And then I get a call. Someone told me, there's a chef coming from Sugar Beach. Now, what the George Clooney did, they brought a chef from LA to cook for them at the Sugar Beach. But guess what? The chef from LA came to eat by my restaurant. So that was worth more to me than George Clooney coming. Because it's me thinking, well, these celebrities who are so in their own local world, you go to the Caribbean and you bring your own
And your
chef.
chef from LA.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
So I took it more as a compliment. The chef himself came and ate by my restaurant. You know what I'm saying? That was valuable to me than the celebrities coming, because if they did not understand, they did not value the cuisine of the Caribbean or even our skill in the Caribbean. Why would you come to the Caribbean and bring your own chef? That's
Right.
like,
Wow.
if you're on a yacht,
That's
if you're on
sad.
if you're on a yacht, I can understand that. But you come to an island where they have chefs and you're gonna bring your own chef. I'm like, you ain't worth my time.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? But it's people, and while we name drop and all these people, what we need to do is understand the value of who we are. You know what I'm saying? And I really want to touch on something before we leave. The slap across my face was like a knee in my neck. If you know what I mean? Because there's an element of all of us, especially of Black people, who have gone through some sort of micro racism, some sort of racism which you don't face head on. You kind of see it, but did that person really say that? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And I think there needs to be a movement to sit people down and talk to them, get them in a different place. And I said to him before, when someone said to me, but that means they're not understanding what I'm saying to him, because by definition of but, that means your neck, your knee is still on my neck, but because if I'm telling you my experiences and what I felt, while I appreciate, but that's not the issue. The institutions of racism, it goes beyond the George Floyds, it goes beyond the Breonna Taylors, it goes beyond the Stephen Lawrences, it goes beyond that. It goes beyond people's viewpoint. They have a right. It's in their DNA to be that way. And the biggest joke I heard is, my best friend's Black, and so.
Oh, that's a microaggression. So
There you
yeah,
go.
definitely.
But I think, but I do believe that cuisine, food, experiences can connect people. I think we can use that concept to bring people together, to discuss, to share our food. One of the things that I've realized, and again, I don't know if you must have seen this. Can you imagine how many food has been prepared in the last month due to funerals?
It's a good point.
How many times people are crying over food because of lost a loved one through injustices and food situation? It's always over food. It's always over conversation of you're gonna you remember so and so eating that fried chicken. You remember so and so having that. Remember we used to like this whole thing. We're always over food in our distress, in our happiness. And what I'm trying to do right now, and I'm hoping with Cuisine Noir and yourself, we can try to find a way to elevate a little smile on people's face. I believe that the 25th is a big day in the
Yes.
U.S. history. What came down the pipeline affects me. I'm in the Caribbean. I'm a black man. That could be me. That could be me. I could be like my Arbery who got gunned down. I could be Stephen Lawrence, a young kid from the UK, got stabbed five times by five white youths just because he is a guy, education guy. While these are injustices, we as a people have got to find a way to connect with people, let them understand the pain, but understand there is still hope, there is still opportunity, there's still moments, there's still ways to connect with each other. I'm starting something, and I'll share with you once I get it to the point where I need to go. But I reached out to the family. I'm gonna try to do something to try. Let's celebrate how we live. Let's not keep remembering how we died, George Floyd. Let's celebrate how we lived. We cannot keep going back to that knee in the neck. While it may be a little less, it's still there, but it's a little less. And I'm going to tell people this is my personal thing. The George Floyd event cannot be an Oscar event. What do I mean by the Oscar event? You get the Oscar and then you move on.
Right.
Imagine you gave Denzel Washington his first or not first second Oscar, I think, for being a bad cop. Yet when he played Stephen Biko, when he played Malcolm X, when he played amazing black portrait of us,
Malcolm X.
Stephen Biko, my favorite movie, Cry Freedom. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when they played this amazing character, they were not Oscar worthy, but you give them Oscar for playing a bad cop. That don't make sense, right? It's an interesting observation. But the point I'm making to you, it cannot be an Oscar moment. Okay, the Oscar goes to George Floyd tonight, and then waiting over 5 years for more justice to be done. We need to change that moment. We need to get these court cases to a point today, not next year, not 10 months down the road. The pain is still today, and while they take so long, the pain continues. So you need some closure. You need some, you need a bit of closure. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because I'm in St. Lucia, a British guy. There's a book coming out called Still Breathing. And I'll send you the link. It's been done by some British friend of mine. She's gathered 100 black professionals, lawyers, entertainers, one chef, me, to share our viewpoint on dealing with racism and how we overcome it in our professions.
Nice.
And it's going to be launched on the 25th of June.
Okay.
And it's called Still Breathing. And I am so proud of the opportunity to be in this book as the only chef in the book. But it's an opportunity to share my experiences, but show people we can overcome, we can achieve. You know what I'm saying? We can break some molds. But I'm not an expert on American injustices. But I'm an expert on being black.
Right. Absolutely.
That's what I cannot argue about the injustices, but I can argue that I'm an expert on being black. I'm an expert on being a black man, sometimes dealing with injustices.
Right.
And so, and I'm a black chef dealing with injustices over a period of time. So I would like to think,
June 25th is coming out.
Yes, June 25th. It's going to be an emotional moment for me because you and I were talking about getting the Orlando book finally at some point.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to try to help support other young chefs coming up. I'm so someone a friend of mine coined a phrase now. You're the Godfather of Caribbean. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, oh, okay. You know the realistic point. Sometimes I'm in a room of people, and I don't feel like the oldest person. But when I look around, damn, I'm like maybe I'm the Godfather.
Might be it. Well, Chef,
Maybe it.
as we get ready to wrap up, tell us what else you got planned, and what else you got planned for 2021, and just some highlights. And how's St. Lucia? Are they open yet? Open for business?
Here's a couple of things. First and foremost, I think before we continue the wrapping conversation, I want to give a big shout out to my dear lady Claudia, because she made an act for it, but I'll hear it later. I'm not joking. Big shout out to Claudia, because again, the men who we are yesterday are not the men who we are today, and so somebody has to take us from where we were to where we are now. So I would say where my ex-wife and family took me to where they are, to where I am, and the people in my life, and where I am now is Claudia has taken me to where next stage is where I'm going to be.
Awesome.
So a big shout out to her. Big shout out to all the mothers, because Mother's Day was weekend, my sister and family. And where am I going to be? Well, this year I had set my goal that 2021 is going to be, every year is my year, but this is the year I recognize. So when I say recognize, it's not about recognition of being out there. It's about recognizing some of my goals. The goal is to get the book completed. So that's one of the goals. The other goal is to support where I can help with young people to get in the industry. Doing more cooking classes to teach people about Caribbean cooking. If people understand what it goes into being a Caribbean chef. The vision is to make the Caribbean being the #1 place to come for Caribbean cuisine. It cannot be the place to come for the best Italian. It cannot be when you go to Italy, you're the best Italian cuisine. When you go to France, you be the best French cuisine.
Yeah.
Why do you come to the Caribbean to be? You got to be the best Caribbean cuisine, pure and simple. And so that is the ultimate dream factor for me. I would love to come to the US at some point and get involved in doing some other stuff. Helping some people. St. Lucia, we are still a bit of a curfew time. Our restaurants are open, but we're still in a curfew, so it means that we have a time limit where we got to be done by 9 o'clock.
Gotcha.
That's a bit challenging for us, because it's not enough time to do what we're doing. But our numbers are considerably down, so we're hoping that the time will extend to 10 o'clock, at least 11 o'clock. I think
that rebel in you.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Look at you.
My restaurant is the only restaurant in the community of Soufriere with the top 4 hotels on St. Lucia. Well, I gotta be careful, because I never hotel up north and I say, well, that's not fair. But anyway, point being, some of the top hotels in St. Lucia are in my community. And so I'm competing with those guys. But I keep telling guys, I'm not your competition. I'm just an humble chef on a mission. I have a chef knives, and I'm left to a cemetery. How can I compare with your $1 million? But you know what? I'm putting pressure on them. So I'm sure once they read the series, go, oh, really, Orlando? I'm like, but to be real, we have to understand this is the Caribbean. We are people. This opportunity that you give me, this platform, I so really appreciate it. It has made my weeks so far, because we're still early. Today's only Tuesday. It's still on a Tuesday, so this is my week so far.
Okay.
I'm sure I appreciate that week so far. But I must say that you guys are really kind of stepped up to the point where a guy from St. Lucia with a London accent, selling Caribbean cuisine, talking to a guy in Canada, talking to somebody in LA. That's an exposure that Miss Williams, I so appreciate your opportunity to do that.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Doc, I met you, but which part of Jamaica you come? Oh, sorry, let's talk Jamaican now.
Okay.
What part of Jamaica? What part of Jamaica you come from? Where you come from?
Parents are from Montego Bay. Grew up.
Oh, yeah?
My dad grew up on 12 Foster Avenue. We also have a home in Montego Bay, 10 minutes from the airport.
Okay.
So
things run you, huh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, yeah? And you know about ackee and saltfish, and you know about the curry goat. Hello, you gotta be. If you don't know, and you know about the Jamaican patty. Okay, good. Because I gotta tell you, I was in Canada, in Toronto, and I was there. I was a guest chef there a few years ago, and I couldn't find a sexy Caribbean restaurant. Tell me, do you have a sexy Caribbean restaurant in Canada?
Yes. Yes, we have a few of them. They're unfortunately too bad, because if we would have crossed paths, I would have introduced you to a gentleman, Carl Caselli. Doesn't own the restaurant anymore, but he had a restaurant called Harlem Restaurant.
Okay.
And cooked really good Caribbean and also Creole food.
Okay, excellent.
And one of the things that he had the restaurant, he sold it now, but he had his home on top of it, and he built his home. He built his home out of, the railroad cars, those containers. He built his home out of those containers.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, you can still connect us. He doesn't have to have a restaurant to talk to me. You can
I'll certainly do it. But he had the premier restaurant of that style in Toronto for 15 plus years, and he's married with 5 girls.
Yeah. Wow. That's a pretty.
Yeah. But
it's pretty good. You know what I gotta say to you, Doc. I would love you to host a meeting with all the chefs, a few of us chefs, to have this conversation about Caribbean and where we are. That's a job. This is a job for my agent. She's standing right next to you. In LA. We're 10% once we made the millions. Okay.
Okay. Well, you know what? I love the challenge, and actually, there are some chefs up here in the Toronto area. Would love to. We can work on that. That's a project. And maybe have an international conversations. A chef from the U.S., chef from Canada.
We'll get the chefs from Berlin doing Jamaican cuisine in Berlin.
A chef from Africa. Let us have that conversation. Because
all right.
Until we have that conversation, we are still behind God's door. I like to call it God behind God's door. We are behind God's door because our door is still closed. We're still, even though the few of us are doing it, people only go to Caribbean restaurant these days when their friend takes them. They're not. It's not a choice. They say, "Oh, let me go Italian, French, Caribbean." It's not consistent yet. You know what I'm saying? So we need to change that narrative. That change the
narrative and control the narrative.
And control the narrative. Absolutely.
Now, Chef, I got a question for you though. Now, when you say Caribbean, that's wide, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, are you trying to zero in on Jamaican cuisine, or are we trying to get into, Trinidad?
We Trinidad. We're talking about the Caribbean. Cuba, absolutely. My journey, and me and Doc's going to do this one journey one time. We need to go to Africa. We need to know how did that journey come across to the region.
Mm-hmm.
We need to understand the history of that, because while I am a Caribbean chef for nearly 40 years, I read everything I can. I know a lot about different regions in the Caribbean, but you know what? The journey, because when you go to Ghana, or I've never been to any of these African continents, but what I've read about them, they do a similar thing that we do, but different. And I'm wondering, how did that journey come across it? How did they make that journey? How did that ingredients travel to the Caribbean? You know what I'm saying? And the name changed over time.
Right.
To understand that journey, we have to go back and discover the journey. It may be a way to bring that project to life of from Africa to the Caribbean. And there you go. That's the name of the book, From African to the Caribbean. In cuisine.
All right.
Well, Chef, and that I've known Sheree for a number of years, and that passion that you have shared has become more to the forefront of Sheree's heart over the last number of years. And that's why one of the main reasons why she started the Global Food and Drink Initiative. So
Excellent. Well, Sheree
what you're
is on
speaking
point.
is aligned with her passion and everyone that's on the board's passion. So we're in right alignment, and I'm speaking that the collaboration will go to another and deeper and wider levels as we continue the journey.
Well, Sheree, I am your ambassador from the Caribbean. Okay.
Okay.
I'll just give myself a title. What the hell?
Okay, Chef,
I'll take the ambassador thing.
all right.
It doesn't come with money. It doesn't come with money. Don't need money.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, Chef, I'll leave Sheree to say her final words for you, but thank you so much. And what I really take home about this is your storytelling, your openness and honesty about your career, and also your passion on our history. And at this time of your journey, wanting to know about and share the history of not only our food, but our people. So that is what I'm leaving with.
Right. And I think for me, Chef, you were very persistent and just getting the newsletter every week and just sending an email, an email, and then you finally got my attention. Not that I was trying to ignore you, but just shows persistence.
Well, you know, when you wear a size 5 shoes, every year your foot get bigger. So you have to keep going bigger. You keep chasing until the shoes fit. Okay. So at the time, so that's my element of life. Okay. You have to keep going till the shoes fits. So now my shoes are fitting. You know what I'm saying? But I would tell you for sure,
right timing.
I appreciate that, and let me give a big shout out to St. Lucia, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm in St. Lucia. We're an island. I'm trying to make it a culinary destination. St. Lucia can become a culinary destination. While I don't disparage the rest of the islands, I think St. Lucia is in a way to doing that. We have some amazing chefs. My friend Nina Compton, who's actually in New Orleans, you should definitely reach out to her. She is one of our top James Beard chefs, and she's won many recognition for that.
Absolutely.
And a big shout out to our independent restaurants here in St. Lucia, who are all on fire. And to the independent restaurants who are under pressure, you know that you started a restaurant to deliver your dream on a plate. So while the challenges of COVID are there, they're there to test your ability to be in business. They're there to test your entrepreneur skill. They're there to test you to be ready. So I think COVID was a moment, but you know, now you've done, if you survive, you can go through anything. And that's why I want to let me a message to all my chefs and friends out there and restaurateurs. Keep going, cook with love, and if you're in a bad mood, stay away from the kitchen, because it will extend to the food.
All right. Yeah. Well, on that note, we will let the chef go. And if you're watching this live on the replay, we're putting up his contact information, the website, Facebook, the Celebrity Chef Orlando community, and also the Facebook community page he has, and also on Instagram. You can find him at Orlando's St. Lucia. So,
and
Chef,
a quick note, Faye, give a big shout out to Faye, because Faye was like, I'm your agent.
There you go.
I'm your communication agent, and I didn't give a shout out. So a big shout out
to
she's the communicator. So
absolutely.
A big shout out to Faye as well. But always the last word will always go to my ladies. Mom, happy Mother's Day. Claudia, thank you for being my love. My daughter, love you. And family, keep sharing the love, and look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Take care. Stay safe.
You guys.
Thank you so much. Sheree.
Another great interview.
Epic conversation. And
absolutely.
Something tells me that we're going to have to make our way down to St. Lucia.
Absolutely.
And you got an ambassador of the Caribbean tonight. So there you go.
Looking forward to it.
Well, folks, I'd like to thank you for taking the time, live or watching on the replay or listening on the replay. We are appreciative. If you want to find out more, and we'd like you to find out more about the Global Food and Drink Initiative, the website is there, globalfoodforgood.org. Looking forward to seeing you next month. But in between, go to the website, go to Cuisine Noir's website, but please enjoy food, and most importantly, stay safe. As always, I like to say at the end of my conversations, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. God bless, peace you all, keep the faith, and remember, love, faith, and respect, and remember to give yourself grace. Bye-bye, everybody.